So today is about matrix algebra. So you guys saw this when you did the ACT practice. Okay, so it's adding and subtracting. So you can only do this if they're the same size. So you can only do it if they're both 3 by 2 or 2 by 2. So they have to be the same size to add or subtract them. And so when you're adding them, you go to each location and add those numbers together, correct? So let's just do the top row. We won't bother doing the bottom row. So if you're adding them, for this, you would do 1 plus -3, which is -2. You would do -2 plus 0, which is -2. You would do 2 plus 4, which is 6. And then you would add the bottom ones just similarly. Okay? How does that part feel? So far, so good? The same is true for subtraction. Okay, you would do 1 minus a -3. 1 minus a -3 is 4. -2 minus 0, which is -2. 2 minus 4, which is -2. Any questions on subtracting matrices? Do I need to do the bottom row of that? Or do we understand how to add and subtract them now? Pretty good? Then there's something called scalar multiplication. Scalar multiplication means you're just multiplying by a constant. You're multiplying it by a number. So for example, if you have 4a, it means you're multiplying all of these by the number 4. Okay, so if you just did it to the first line, you would get 4, -8, 8, and you would go on. You would do the same thing with the 1/3. If you multiplied something by 1/3, obviously you're going to get some fractions in there, correct? And then finally, you can do scalar multiplication and addition or subtraction at the same time. The first thing you always want to do is make sure they're the same size. So again, I'm 3 by 2 here. I'm 3 by 2 here, so that's good. So I'm going to multiply this one by 3. I'm going to multiply this one. I typically do the -2 and change it to addition. Okay? I typically don't leave it as subtraction and just multiply by 2. Does that make sense? And so what would happen here? So I'm going to do a first. Multiplying a by 3, I get 3, -6, 6, 0, -3, 9. And then I usually change it to plus, and now I'm going to multiply b by a -2. Okay, it just prevents you from missing a minus, a negative, and some of that weird stuff that could happen. So you get 0, +4, -6, -2, -4, -2, and then you're ready to add. So again, it prevents weird things happening with the negatives. Questions on that? This last one is the one that I have seen on the practice tests that I've seen. Okay? It's usually not a simple scalar multiplication or a simple addition subtraction. It's a combination of the two. Questions on that? All right, multiplying matrices. You multiply the row of the first one by the column of the second one. So this matrix, if I multiply the row by the column, can I do that? No, because there's not enough, right? There's 3 here. How many do I have here? 2. You cannot multiply if the size of the row is not the same as the size of the column. So actually, these two you cannot multiply. Okay? Questions on that? You cannot multiply these two in the order that they are. So let's make up 2 that we can multiply. So I want to make, let's make a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 2. Let's pick some numbers here. So Caitlin, pick a number between 1 and 10. 7. Okay, Lexi, pick a number between 1 and 10. Jacob.
2.
Seth.
8.
Sam.
1.
Luke.
4.
Kaylin. Peyton.
5.
Kaya. Allison. Becca. And Jen.
5.
Oh, I thought she said 5.
She said 5.
All right.
I'll take me.
So, now, when we solve this, the size of your new one is going to be the other numbers. So, for example, this way is 3 by 3, right? What is the size the other way? It is 2 by 2. So that tells us our new one is going to be 2 by 2. Okay? So you look at, okay, I have 3 by 3, and then you go the other direction to decide how big your new one's going to be. I have 2 going this way, and I have 2 going that way, so this one's going to be 2 by 2 in the end. Okay?
So if we're only doing one where it's like 4 numbers in each bracket, it's going to be a 1 simple answer.
Yep. If it's 4 by 4, then it would be 1, because it would be 1 by 1. Okay? So you look at the ones that you didn't highlight. Okay? So it was 3 by 3. Okay? That's what we're multiplying. This way it's 2 by 2. That tells me the size of my new one. So it's the ones we didn't use tells us their size. So what Jake was pointing out is if we have 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. If we have a 4 and a 4, the dimension of our new one is going to be 1 by 1.
Is this the smallest?
Because that's the size the other direction. So this one's a 4 by 4. This way is a 1 by 1, so your final answer is going to be a 1 by 1. Okay? All right. So does everyone understand how I figured out my sizes? Okay. So then, when you're multiplying, you multiply the numbers that correspond, and then you add together all of them. So I'm multiplying 7 by 3, 3 by 5, 2 by 6, and then you add them all up. So that gets you, that's going to be a big number. 21 plus 15 is 36, plus 12, 48. Does that sound right? Okay, and that's going to be the number that goes here. Okay? Then you're going to multiply these 3 by the second 3. So then I get 7 times 8 plus 3 times 9. Oh, this should be a plus, sorry. Plus 2 times 5. So that's 56 plus 27 plus 10, which is 93. And that goes here. How I knew where it was going to go is this is top, this is left, right? So top left. Does that make sense? This is top, this is right. So top right. So this one's going to be bottom left and then bottom right. Does that make sense?
Don't use them bottom ones.
You do. We're going to do that now. But so I'm going to multiply this by this, and it's going to be bottom right. I'm going to multiply this by this. Sorry, I messed up my directions. This by this is bottom left. This by this is bottom right. Okay? So I'm going to do 814 times 356, 8 times 3 plus 1 times 5 plus 4 times 6, which is 48 plus 5, 53. Because this would be 24 and 24, correct? Plus 5. Is that right? Okay. And then you're going to do 814 times 895. So 8 times 8 plus 1 times 9 plus 4 times 5. So that's 64 plus 9 plus 20, which is also, ooh, that's also 93. Coincidence. How do you guys feel about multiplying? A little bit better? Okay. Now, yep. For this one, so remember this one is 1 by 1, right? So you would do 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2. So this one would be an 8. No, I'm just saying, practice-wise. How do you guys feel about multiplying? Okay. There is one more thing we need to cover about matrices, and it's not in your notes, so you're going to have to add it. And that is if they tell you to find your determinant. Okay? It is called a determinant. Okay. For a determinant, if you have a 2 by 2, and actually I think I have this on another page of notes, so let's use that. I think it's on this one. Yeah. So if you are finding a determinant of something, what you do is you multiply this way, you multiply this way, and then you subtract your two numbers. Okay? So for example, if we had a matrix that was 4, 1, 0, and 2, you would multiply this way and get 8. You would multiply this way and get 1, and then you subtract the 2. So your determinant would be 7.
How'd you get 1? Zero.
Ooh, 0. Wow. 0, 8. Okay? How do you guys feel about 2 by 2 determinants? They're okay?
Why subtract?
It's always subtract. Yep.
Should we do those bottom ones?
Yep, we're going to talk about a 3 by 3 here. Okay? So we're actually going to do a 3 by 3 with numbers instead of jumping into the explanation, okay? So here is a 3 by 3 with numbers. Okay? For a 3 by 3 with numbers, the first spot that you start is you make this bottom section a 2 by 2. You would find the determinant of those bottom section, and you're going to times it by your top corner here. So you're going to do 2 times -1 minus 1 times 1, and you're going to time your number by -1. Okay? So you get -1 from here, times 2 times -1 minus 1 times 1. Okay, any questions on how we found the first part?
So if you have the negative 1 next time 1, where do you get that loss?
These two? It's these two multiplied. So it's 2 times negative 1 minus 1 times 1. Okay? Then your second one is always minus. Okay, so you're going to put a minus after that parenthesis. And now you take these two sets and find your determinant and multiply it by the number 2. Okay? So this next one would be minus 2, 3 times negative 1 minus negative 2 times 1. Okay? So first you took these two, okay? And you're just moving on. So first this one, so I did these two. Next I picked this one, so I have to do these two. You do the one, so this one is highlighted top middle, so you take the two that weren't highlighted. Left bottom, right bottom. And so our third part is going to be the 0. You exclude these two, so you're going to use these two for your determinant part. It's a weird, yeah, I know what you're saying. So it goes minus, this third one is plus. That's the only weird part of it. And you would do 0. So if I'm doing 0, this is my two sections. Be 3 times 1 minus negative 2 times 2. It's just the order that it is. The reasoning is the first one was positive, the second one was negative, the third one's positive. If you had a 4x4 thing happen, you would go positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. Like you just keep alternating. Okay? So then your total determinant here would be negative 1, be what, negative 3 there, minus 2 times negative 3 plus 2, which is negative 1, plus, and then this part would all be 0, right? So your final answer is 3 plus 2, which is 5. So the determinant of that would be 5. So this first one is, I know it's a negative one, but it's considered you leave your first one alone. Your second one, you change your sign. The third one, you leave it alone. So it always alternates between leaving it alone, opposite sign, leaving it alone, opposite sign. Do you want to do the bottom one on your own? No? Okay. So the part that you need to add, and we're not going to talk about why it's important, but the part you need to add to your assignment is, oops. I don't know why that just shut down. Page 740, I want you to do 7 through 13 odds. So page 740, add 7 through 13, the odds. Yep. I am, so just 1 second. 714. I said 7 through 13 odds.